Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm coming at you with a little news video for news around the esports world. So starting off with some news in the Valorant world, there was a tournament called the Africa TV tournament that started today, or I guess last night. It was in the middle of the night for me, my time. It takes place in Korea and it will be running for the next couple weeks, and it has some pretty good teams on it, Sentinels being one of them, also DRX, PRX. We will see some pretty good competition come out of this tournament. Granted, it is an off-season tournament, so don't put too much stock into the results of some of these franchise teams, but it should be a good way to showcase how these VCT franchise teams are going to be doing before the VCT season begins. So to start off the tournament, Sentinels defeated PaperX 2-1. It was a pretty good match. Breeze was 13-7 for Sentinels, and then Jinggg made a surprise appearance. Now, if you don't know Jinggg, he was a player on PaperX for the last couple years, and he unfortunately had to leave the team because he has to do his mandatory military service. But he has not started it yet, so it's still the off-season. He can play. So we did see him join in the second map. He did take the place of Moniette. Moniette, I think is how you say it. Moniette. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, gamer tags are hard to say sometimes. But either way, he benched him, and then Mindfreak was benched for the third map on Haven. And I wouldn't put too much stock into either of those players being benched. It was to get Jinggg in and showcase and show him. It was a big surprise appearance. So I wouldn't put too much stock in Moniette being benched. He is a very good player, and PaperX got him because he had a very good season on Global Esports, which was a team that was not very good last season, that had high expectations, but he was seen as the star player on that team, so PaperX picked him up. But we will see how this roster kind of looks during the VCT season, but not off to a good start. But it was relatively close. Breeze was 13-7 for Sentinels, Sunset was 7-13, and Haven was 15-13 in favor of Sentinels. So the last map did go to overtime, and Sentinels with a good showing. They played well. I believe this breaks their record on Sunset. I know they had a pretty good record on Sunset. I don't know if they were undefeated. I know they were for a little bit, but it was the off season. So we'll see if they can recover from this loss on Sunset and, get back to their winning ways on that map, because it's been a very good map for them so far. Moving on, DRX defeated Full Sense. Now, this was an interesting one. Full Sense is a tier 2 team from, I believe, Thailand. And this one got pretty close for DRX, too close for comfort if you're a DRX fan. Granted, it's not a game with any huge consequence for the VCT season, but with DRX, you're looking for a team to have a sort of a bounce back season. They had a good season last year in the VCT, but they fell short of expectations, which is kind of the story around that team for the last couple of years. So in this offseason event, you want to see them do well. And then they almost lost to a tier 2 team, but they did end up winning, so maybe they were just shaking off some rust during the first map and during the second map, which they almost lost. Haven was 7-13 in favor of Full Sense. Ascent was 16-14, so Full Sense almost closed it out there in overtime. They couldn't do it. And then DRX takes Bind 13-6, so they kind of got their footing back on Bind. Again, don't put too much stock into these matches, but DRX is definitely a team to watch going into the VCT season. We'll see if what they have now is able to finally win a tournament. They've been close a couple times, but they've never had a Grand Finals appearance in an international tournament, I believe. They're definitely looking to potentially be one of the first Asian region teams to win in an international tournament. It hasn't happened yet. PaperX has come very close a couple times now, so DRX potentially is a contender for that, but we will talk about DRX another time. Next up, Evil Geniuses has dropped their Game Changers roster. This comes as no surprise. They're dropping probably pretty much all of their teams, or they're selling them. It wasn't based off of performance. They did okay in the recent Game Changers Championship. They got 7-8, losing to Team Liquid, who did go to the Grand Finals and then lost to Shopify Rebellion. So this isn't anything that's really based off of the players, losing that tournament or anything. It's just Evil Geniuses is not moving forward with any team. So this is one of, well, not the first chip to fall, but this is another chip to fall in the, I guess, sell-off and dissolving of Evil Geniuses as an organization. Now we're going on to general news in the esports scene. So version 1 has merged with G2. V1 ownership become G2 shareholders, which includes Gary Vaynerchuk. And if you don't know who that is, he's some business entrepreneur influencer. I think he's unbearable personally, but he was an owner of version 1, and now he is a part of the G2 ownership, which actually kind of fits his brand a bit, I think. But either way, G2, they now operate all of the version 1 teams, including the Call of Duty League team Minnesota Rocker. V1 will not be branded on any of the esports teams on G2 or their former teams. And this doesn't come as a surprise. It's a merger, but it's mainly just G2 absorbing the version 1 assets and getting their shareholders. It is a bit unfortunate that we're seeing version 1 as a brand not be around anymore. They had some decent runs in Valorant on their team, Zelsis being a player that was on their team a couple times. But at the same time, with the industry as it is right now, we're probably going to see a lot more of these mergers, a lot more dissolving one brand and putting the assets into another. And I think it's a good move for both companies. I think version 1, they had some pretty big shareholders behind it, and now they get to be a part of a more proven company, and some of these teams will get to be under the G2 brand, which is good from a marketing perspective for those players and the teams. But we will see how it turns out for these teams, especially mainly the Call of Duty League roster, as well as I believe the Rocket League roster is going to be G2 now. We don't know all the details about everything that's on how it's going to work, but mainly they will be taking over that Call of Duty roster. At least that is the main news that we have so far from this merger. Moving on, Sentinels launched a new energy drink called Hopium with Advanced Energy Drinks, which is an American brand of energy drinks. So this is another attempt at esports teams trying to find new ways of creating revenue. Merch is a big part of esports teams trying to get money because, they build these brands through their esports teams through getting popular and good results, and then they can sell their fan base a bunch of merch and stuff. And, that's how a lot of sports teams make money as well. But they have ticket sale revenues to be the main version of the revenue, their main cash flow. Esports doesn't really have that, at least not to the same extent. So they really have to go more into the merch side. And Sentinels, I think, has done decent when we're talking about their merch. I think some of their stuff has been hit or miss. But hey, gamers love energy drinks for some reason. I personally don't have like the powdered energy drinks, which is what this is. It's the same as like Gamer Subs or G Fuel when you get like the big like powdered cans. But this is Sentinels trying to get more revenue in a different way. And I think it's a good idea, and I think we're probably going to see more of this, and we're probably going to see these companies dive into more versions of merchandise, and they're going to have to get creative if they're going to want to make a good amount of money. Moving on to some Counter-Strike news. Now, CS2 had a new update that caused quite the stir. So they have this new update. I don't know if this is when they added the anti-cheat, because I know they didn't have one before, or it just wasn't very good, but there was an update to it at the very least, and it ended up causing a ton of false VAC bans, and NVIDIA driver bug is likely the reason why. That has been one of the reports that I've seen. But a lot of people are getting banned right now. A lot of pros were getting banned. Valve is aware. They did put out a statement saying, we're working on a fix. We're aware of the issue. But this is pretty catastrophic. A lot of people have just logged on to Counter-Strike today and have just been banned immediately. So they have to fix this ASAP because this is a big problem. And if you can't play the game without getting banned, it doesn't really make you want to play the game, does it? It just doesn't allow you to do it either. So hopefully this is fixed quickly. Don't log into CS2 until it's fixed would be my advice, but we'll see how long this takes. I'm sure it'll be a quick turnaround with this kind of thing. I'm already seeing some of my friends be on Counter-Strike and not getting banned. But I'm going to wait off a little bit. I haven't played CS2 in like a couple weeks. We will see how far this goes, but just wanted to mention it here because it's just kind of funny to me. And CS2, man, rough launch so far. They really could have come out strong. They could have had a really good launching pad, and instead it came out and nobody liked it. Or at least it was just very poorly, optimized and the content missing. And Counter-Strike players are not happy right now. And this is just another part of that. So it's unfortunate, but I do think Valve is going to turn around at some point. But this definitely doesn't help their chances. For our last bit of news of the day, Twitch announces that it is shutting down in Korea. Now, this is unfortunate. I don't know how big Twitch is in Korea, but I assume it's not that big because the main reason for them shutting it down is it's just too expensive. It's just not worth the cost of running it so far. And I do know that, all these Asian countries have much different like live streaming sites than we do here in North America. they have a lot of different places to live stream, and there's just a different kind of culture around that stuff there. So it doesn't really surprise me that Twitch has failed to gain a lot of traction there, because there's already more established brands that people there already, go to. But it is unfortunate, and it will definitely affect how esports events are streamed in Korea. It's a huge esports market there. It's much bigger there than here in North America. So, I mean, I'm sure they'll work around it, and I don't know if YouTube is in Korea or not, but Korea's going to be able to watch esports either way. Twitch doesn't really need to be the one to do it, but they do have partnerships with, Riot and all this stuff. So we'll see if this has any lasting effects in terms of like esports viewing and just, live streaming in general in Korea. I do think that, like the big companies that are running like events and stuff are going to be able to find different homes for their live streams, but the main effect of this Twitch shutdown will be the streamers in Korea that are going to have to find a new audience on a new website, and that can be very hard. It's very hard to switch streamer websites if you're not already huge, and even if you're huge on Twitch or something and switch to YouTube, that can go terribly. We've seen that before. I just wish the best for everybody that is going to be affected from this, that isn't some super rich company that'll just stream their events on a different thing. So my heart goes out to all the streamers affected by this, and I hope you all recover and are able to get your followers to follow you to a different website. There was a bunch of topics that came out today, a bunch of new stuff that came out today, so I figured we could do a news video, see how it goes. If you enjoyed it, click like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave me a comment and just, let me know if this is something that you guys are interested in. I'm not really here to be like a news channel, but I do want to do news videos because, that's kind of just where all the content comes from is these stories and what's going on in the esports world. That's kind of where the content comes from. So figured maybe having a format where we're talking about more topics at once probably would be a good idea, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching. Click like, subscribe, as I already told you, and have a wonderful rest of your day. See you in the next one.